At last she broke the silence. "It will help you, what I have told you, will it not?" "It is of inestimable value to me," he answered, but instead of exultation, there was a strange sadness in his voice. "You will let me help you, and you will be a son to me, will you not?" He looked at her with an expression of mingled pity and bitterness, and then, without replying, lifted her gently but firmly and reseated her, while he himself remained standing at a little distance. She watched him anxiously. "Harold," at last she ventured, "think what I have suffered, and do not refuse my one prayer." "I can see that you have suffered," he answered gently, "and, as I have told you, I will help you pecuniarily and will befriend you, only do not ask me that which I cannot give." "I ask nothing more," she exclaimed passionately, rising to her feet, "than that you be a son to me, and I will accept nothing less." "I am sorry to hear you say that," he replied, "for you are only unnecessarily depriving yourself of many benefits that might be yours. I would provide a home for you where you would be unknown, and means that you could spend the remainder of your life in comfort." "What would I care for any home or wealth that you might provide for me?" she demanded angrily. "If you yourself would not acknowledge me as your mother, I will accept nothing from you under such conditions." "Then we may as well end this conference," he replied calmly, "for I hold my father in too deep love and reverence ever to permit of my applying to you the sacred name of mother." Her eyes flashed at the mention of his father, and she was about to speak, but he lifted his hand warningly. "Hush!" he commanded. "Not one word shall you speak against him in my presence. Before I go, I will give you an opportunity to reconsider your declaration of a moment ago." "I will not reconsider it. You are like every Mainwaring that I have ever known, in that you think money and shelter, such as you might fling at some superannuated servant, will take the place of true position and honor that are my due." "Do you then, finally and once for all, refuse any and all offers of assistance from me?" he asked. "I do," she replied proudly. "I will not accept charity from a Mainwaring, not even from you." "Very well. If that is your decision, I bid you adieu," and before she could reply, he was gone. He passed swiftly down the corridor, his head bowed slightly, looking neither to the right hand nor to the left, but his step had an elasticity it had not possessed in weeks, and any one passing near him would have heard the single exclamation, "Thank God!" Upon reaching his carriage, he spoke quickly to the driver, "To the Waldorf at once," and was borne away by the impatient steeds even more swiftly than he had come. Meanwhile, within the room which he had just left, the wretched woman, whose falseness and pride had wrought her own undoing, stood listening to the retreating footsteps. She heard them die away in the distance, heard the carriage wheels roll rapidly down the avenue, then sank upon a couch with a cry of despair. "All is over," she moaned, "and I have failed. I could not force him to my terms, and I would never yield to his. I will take charity from no one, least of all from him. I will be first or nothing," and she shivered faintly. After a time she arose, and ringing for her maid, ordered a light repast brought to her room, as she would not go down to dinner. "And," she concluded, "you can have the evening to yourself. I expect callers, and will not need you." An hour later, Richard Hobson crept along the corridor and tapped for admittance. There was no answer, and cautiously pushing open the door, he entered unbidden, but started back in horror at the sight which met his eyes. The electric lights had not been turned on, but a few tall wax tapers in a pair of candelabra upon the mantel were burning, and in the dim, weird light, Mrs. LaGrange, still elegantly attired for her interview with Harold Mainwaring, lay upon the low couch near the grate, her features scarcely paler than a few hours before, but now rigid in death. Upon the table beside her, the supper ordered by the maid stood untasted, while on the same table a small vial bearing the label of one of the deadliest of poisons, but empty, told the story. Underneath the vial was a slip of paper, on which was written, "I have staked my highest card and lost. The game is done." Terror-stricken, Hobson glanced about him. Then, pausing only long enough to clutch some of the gleaming jewels from the inanimate form, he stealthily withdrew, and skulking unobserved along the corridors, passed out into the darkness and was gone. End of chapter 21.